I'm Huamei Han, Assistant Professor in ESL Education at Simon Fraser University. I've been focusing on ESL education for the past decade or so. This field is inspirational to me because language is fundamental in social life and in education. So what we understand about what language is, what learning a language is about, what to learn, how to learn. Those are very common sense issues. We take things for granted, but these understandings actually affect how we do education and how we conduct everyday life. Also, language is both a medium. It's a medium for education, for learning subject areas, and the language itself is also a target of learning. Basically, I see education is much broader than schooling. So I look to non-schooling sites for inspiration, such as at a church. Minority churches have shouldered a lot of responsibility for integrating immigrants. So what kind of work happened there, and what helped people to integrate linguistically and socially. I look at the church as a social institution. And then classroom, school, all these are institutions, right? And so what kind of interaction goes on, that interaction itself is a socialization process. It's a process of learning the language, learning social skills, learning many things. So that's the essence of education. In a broader sense. So this interpersonal level communication between kids and kids, between kids and adults, is a fundamental process of education. So that's something we can learn about what kind of interaction happened at church versus what's happening in school, see. So that's one level. The second level is at the institutional level. So for the church, what kind of program they set up to engage their congregants. It's not only Sunday. It's Saturday, and it's a Bible study, it's a fellowship, and so on and so forth. So they have a set of programs set up very thoughtfully to engage people and to move people up. That's what I call, that's a theory called communities of practice. Mainly look at the learning as a process of moving people from the periphery of a community to the center of the community. So the goal of learning is really to help people to become full-fledged members. School supposedly should be functioning that way as well. We move students, we prepare students in the periphery, in the classroom, prepare them for the society to be citizens, and so on and so forth. And schools are successful to uplift some students, but we also are not very successful in terms of some other students, particularly those underrepresented and underserved populations. So I look at the church, how church, particularly Protestant churches, they are very organized institutionally, and in terms of their program setup, in terms of mentoring, in terms so on and so forth. So that needs institutional structure to set up a stage, both backstage to prepare and on stage for people to have the opportunity to showcase who they are, to get recognized by the community. So that's institutional. And the third level is ideological, which means the questions I asked: how do we understand language? How do we understand language learning? What to learn? How to learn? So these are more, to me, are ideological questions. If we look at language as a linguistic system consisted of linguistic units like phonology, words, sentences, paragraph, and essay. That's one way of look at the language. That's very common sense, but very biased. And that way of looking at the language, to me, actually is a very fundamental reason a lot of people get marginalized in our classroom and in society. I, as a researcher, would like to take those real life examples to see this is how people do things, and this is how people do things so differently from what we think the only way of doing things. So to me, it's getting these real life examples to intrigue people, to prompt people to be more critical about what we do on a day-to-day basis.